Hey there, it's Brooks here from DocumentSnap.com, and today we're going to be talking about an iOS app that I use quite a bit to manage PDFs called GoodReader. So you can see down here at the bottom right hand corner in my dock, that's where I have it, is the app for GoodReader. So I'm going to tap that and open it. Now there's a lot of these type of applications. One reason why I have traditionally used GoodReader is because it's kind of like the file system for my iPad. Now, Apple has designed the iPad so that you don't really need a file system. Each app should be able to manage its own files. That's the idea. But if you're a bit of a power user, there's times you want to be able to bring files into and onto your iPad and share them amongst different applications. And GoodReader is a really, in my opinion, a good way to do that. Now, I'm going to take you through the way the application works. I'm not even going to come close to covering everything. The reason why is because GoodReader can do a lot of stuff, and this is going to be just a quick video just showing a few of the things that I do with GoodReader. So the first thing I want to do is just explain kind of what the different areas are. So over on the left hand side here under My Documents is a bunch of folders, and these folders are folders that I have created locally on my iPad. And I've stored files in these folders. So you can see here, if I tap on Kids, I've got a couple of things for my local community center. You get the idea. These are folders that I've created locally on my iPad. Now, if I want to launch any of these files, all I need to do is go to a PDF, and I'm going to be talking about PDFs in this screencast, but the nice thing about GoodReader is it works with a whole bunch of different types of files, not just PDFs. Office files, everything. So I'm going to tap the first one, and you can see here I'm able to view the PDF and read through it. So this is what I usually use to read PDFs on the iPad. I get quite a few questions about that. If I'm going to be reading a document, and especially if I'm going to be interacting with it, which I'll show you in a bit, I typically use GoodReader. And you can see if I make it portrait, it's a really nice interface for viewing the PDF. So I'm going to flip this back to landscape, if you don't mind. We also have a Manage Files area. It basically lets you create new folders, create new files. I can tap here, and you can see I've got a whole bunch of different options. I can rename it, I can get a link to it, I can open it in different types of applications, I can email it, I can zip it up. Let's try zipping it, see what happens. So it's creating a zip file. I could zip those two together, and now I have a zip file that I can send somewhere. If I tap here, I want to get rid of that zip file. I just need to hit the delete button. Yes, I want to delete it, and it's gone. So the Manage Files section of GoodReader has a lot of power. And finally, for me, the most powerful area of GoodReader, it allows you to connect to a whole bunch of different type of servers. And if I tap the Add button here, you can see it can connect to mail servers. It can get attachments out of your emails if you want. It can do MobileMe, it can do iCloud, Google Docs, Dropbox, SugarSync. You can see here AFP, if you've got computers locally on your Apple network, it can connect to that. You can see you've got a whole bunch of different options here for creating connections. And that's what I'm going to show next, how to connect to Dropbox. So I've got a Dropbox connection here set up, this first one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap here on my Dropbox account. And you can see it's showing all the folders in my Dropbox. I'm going to go into this Share folder. And I'm going to do this two ways. But first, I'm just going to show you how, if I tap this little arrow here, you can see it's showing me the different files that are in my Share folder. And if I tap one of them, I have three choices down at the bottom. I can deselect it, I can sync it, or I can download it. So if all I'm looking to do is get a file out of my Dropbox, I can tap one of the files, hit download, and now it's asking me where on my iPad in GoodReader I want to store it. So in this case, I'm just going to store it just for fun in this folder that I've called GoodReader. And I'm going to download the file here. And you can see over on the right, it's just downloaded the file. And if I close this window and go into this GoodReader folder here, you can see that I now have newsletter.pdf that I've just downloaded to my iPad. And from there, I can view it, edit it, do a whole bunch of things with it. I'm going to delete this right now. So you can delete it either by going to Manage Files, or you can just swipe with your finger and then delete the file. And now it's off my iPad. What I use all the time, especially if I'm working with files maybe from a course or files that my bookkeeper has sent me, is I will sync a folder to Dropbox. So again, I'm going to tap on my Dropbox account, and I'm going to tap on the that share folder, but this time, instead of tapping on the blue arrow, I'm just tapping on the name of the folder. And you can see down at the bottom now, I have three options: deselect, sync, and download. This time I'm going to sync it. It's giving me a little warning. It's asking me where on my iPad I want to sync this file, or this folder, sorry. And in this case, I'm going to go into GoodReader. Again, that's just the folder I chose. I could sync it anywhere. And I'm going to hit download here and synchronize. And now it's giving me a bunch of options. Under type of sync, it's asking me if I want to be download only. So that means if I delete a file locally, it's not going to, on my iPad, it's not going to delete it on my Dropbox. So I'm going to leave that off for now. And again, we have some options for what happens when you delete files. And I'm going to hit sync. And now what it's doing, you can see it's created on my iPad the share folder that I had selected, and it's downloading all of the files that are in there. So when I tap into this share folder, I now have 3 files that were in the share folder on my Dropbox. And if I view it, I've got the files here. So what I'm going to do now is, just to show you, I'm going to disorient you for a minute, and I'm going to drop the iPad out of full screen mode. And you can see here that I've got my iPad showing side by side with a folder on my Mac. And it's the share folder that we had just synced to Dropbox. And just to show you how the syncing works, I'm going to take a file and copy it into this share folder. So now we've got 4 files in that share directory on Dropbox. And now on my iPad, when I hit the sync button, it's going through all of my files on Dropbox that are synced. And you can see here it's automatically downloaded that gsmag.pdf. And when I view it, there it is. So that's how syncing, that's a quick demo of how syncing works in Dropbox. Honestly, it's really great, and like I said, I use it all the time. The final thing I want to show you in Dropbox is, and let me make this full screen again, is working with a specific PDF. And Dropbox has a lot of options for doing that. So I'm just going to bring up this article here. So now that I have the PDF up, there's a whole bunch of things I can do with it. If I tap on the PDF, you'll see that it opens on the right-hand side here a whole bunch of different options for things we can do with this PDF. At the bottom, we've got a freehand tool, which I use all the time. And when I tap on it, you can see that it gives me 3 options for what to do with this PDF. If I'm going to be modifying a file or annotating it in our case, I can either save it to the file that we're working with, or if we want to keep this file safe, we can create a copy of it, or we can cancel. So I'm going to save it to this file. And you can see here with the freehand tool, we can basically draw anything we want. We can draw an arrow here. We can circle something. We can write, cut. With the freehand tool I use all the time, and it's really handy for marking up a PDF. And we can save the changes to this PDF. There's a bunch of other options as well. We can zoom in on the PDF. We can choose here the highlight tool. If we want to highlight that word, we can do it. If we want to highlight a sentence, we can do that. Save. Other options we have, we can, if we want to cross out a text, we say we don't want this whole sentence here. We can cross it out. Save it. You get the idea. There's a bunch of different annotations that you can do to a PDF in GoodReader. There's a bunch of different options along the bottom that you can go through on your own if you want. You can hit the share button, the action button, and you can open it in a different application. You can flatten it, which means that the changes are saved to the document. A bunch of stuff you can do with GoodReader. For now, what I'm going to do is I am going to close out of here. And because we've edited this PDF, I'm going to hit sync again, which we did last time. And because this folder is shared with Dropbox, it's uploading now the changes that I just made to Dropbox. And if we drop out of full screen mode here again, and we view this file that we were just editing, we should see our changes. And there you go. On my Mac, you can see these are the changes that we had just made in GoodReader. So that's a few different ways that I use GoodReader. It's a really good application. The nice thing about iPad right now is there's a bunch of these different applications that all do a great job. So if you're wanting to work with PDFs, now is a great time to do it. For more going paperless tips, head on over to DocumentSnap.com. Thanks.